Yo, what's good, YouTube? Zamcro here, aka Scoot, back with the International Trainers League, Season 5, Week number 10, and we're taking on none other than the Gypsy King himself, coach of the Sydney Sharpedos, and as always, we're coach of the Blackmont Rye Cougars. And I'm going to talk about Gypsy for a second. Great guy, great battler, passed me some OU teams. Really easy to get along with. Usually somebody with his skill caliber usually jerks. Uh, don't really want to talk or share teams or something like that. But not this guy. He's really down to earth and whatnot. So just wanted to shout him out for that. Also, he has a scary ass team here. Um, While also being known as one of the best battlers in the format, he has one of the scariest teams I've ever saw on paper, with Tapu Lele, Thunders Incarnate, Suicune, Decidueye, Alolan Muck, Cabalion, Landers Therian, which is a Z Crystal potential, Quillfish, Shuckle, Licky Licky, and Registeel. Very scary. He's used this team really well. Got him a 9-0 record in 9 weeks, and I was very, what's the word? I don't want to say scared, but I was very aware and very anxious for this game. Um, and so the Blackmont Rye Cougars in the ITL Season 5 have a roster consisting of Victini, Manaphy, Shaman, Zapdos, Cofagrigus, Nidoqueen, Florges, Lucario, Sneasel, Druddigon, and Oranguru, where Lucario is our Z Crystal potential. That being said, I took his team and looked over it, and I thought he would bring something along the lines of Tapu Lele, Thunders Incarnate, Cabalion, Landers Therian, Alolan Muck, and Suicune. He brings very close to that. I thought maybe a swap out would be something like maybe bringing either or of Landers and Cabalion and bringing Shuckle along with it. But he does decide not to bring Shuckle. Brings 5 of the 7 I mentioned, and Decidueye over Tapu Lele, which is very interesting. I didn't see a reason to not bring Tapu Lele. I guess he could have predicted me to over prep for it, which in a sense I did. In a sense I definitely did, with having 2 semi checks to it and an immunity to Psychic. But yeah, he brings Landers, Therian, Alolan Muck, Thunders Incarnate, Decidueye, Suicune, and Cabalion, and I bring Victini, Sneasel, Oranguru, Zapdos, and Nidoqueen, and of course Lucario. We were 6-3 going into the match, following a loss last week where we brought a terrible set on my Zapdos. Yeah, we get it, dude. You got a little dick. Sorry about that. I got my door open because it's really hot in my apartment right now. Anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, we come off a loss last week because of a bad set on our Zapdos where we only brought 3 moves by accident and didn't pack Defog, and I think that really cost me the match. I think Shaman and the combination of Shaman and the rest of my team could have won the match for me at any point in that game, because Shaman was a really, really good check to his Raichu. But that's not what we're here for today. We're here for this game where I bring a whole different set. Trick Room Victini, Trick Room Oranguru. Victini's quite interesting, where I have max special attack, near max def, quite a bit of HP investment, and a little bit of defense investment. Trick Room, Will-O-Wisp, Flamethrower, and Thunderbolt. 0 speed IVs and a quiet nature, so I can outspeed everything under Trick Room minus the Alolan Muck, and potentially even the Alola Muck if he has a little speed investment to outspeed things like Drudagon and potentially something like Florges or something on my team with the Muck. Unlikely though. Next up we have Dewara, our Sneasel, which is a Life Orb set, Jolly, max attack, and speed sets at around 180 to outspeed the Thundurus Incarnate. With knockoff, Icicle Crash, Ice Shard, and Taunt. Didn't really have a way to hit the Suicune, so I figured I could just knock it off and potentially taunt it, depending on how the game's going, I guess. Jolly near max speed really contradicts my Trick Room, but this is a mon that operates outside of Trick Room. So I have a few mons that, operate outside of Trick Room, a few that operate under Trick Room, and we'll get into that as I go. Next up's another Trick Room mon. So it's a max HP, max Spadef set. Basically, this is going to be my Tapu Lele check, which is a Rangaroo. And I packed the Cobra Berry just so I can live, offensive knockoffs from things like Thundurus, Muck, Landorus. I guess that's just about it. But yeah, nonetheless, Cobra Berry set with dual screens, Toxic, and Trick Room. I don't have a negative speed nature or zero IVs in speed because of being able to set up last ditch Trick Rooms against things like Licky Licky and Registeel and Quillfish and potentially Muck as well. I guess it doesn't really matter since Trick Room is a negative speed priority move, so it's like a -6 or 7 or something like that. That's what Bash was telling me, Blue Victini. He was telling me it was a negative speed priority move, so Trick Room was going to last no matter what. So I guess it didn't really matter what kind of speed I was setting at for last ditch Trick Rooms. Anyways, I picked the dual screens for my setup mons. I only have one setup mon, but I'll get into that later. It really benefits my Lucario, benefits my Victini, benefits all my mons, actually. So that's just, something to note. And I packed Toxic to status everything except the Alolan Muck and the Registeel, of course, but he didn't bring it. And again, Trick Room to benefit a couple of my mons. Next up's going to be Zapdos with the Wise Glasses. Sitting at a speed where I can outspeed base 95 mons, such as Tapu Lele. I got a little bit of special attack investment, but a lot of bulk investment as well. And I packed the Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Hidden Power Ice, and Defog. I didn't see a lot of chances where I'd be roosting in this match, unless I was like stalling out Registeel or Licky Licky or Shuckle or Quillfish or yada yada yada. So I didn't really see much of a point in bringing a full-on defensive Zapdos with Roost or something like that. So I just bring 3 attacks and Defog to make sure that I'm not hazard stacked or anything like that. And with the Wise Glasses, it kind of makes my opponent think more about what kind of set I am, how offensive am I, how can I take a hit, such and such. Next up is going to be another mon that operates outside of Trick Room, which is my Nidoqueen. Just Scarf variant, Choice Scarf, Sheer Force, Stealth Rocks, Earth Power, Sludge Wave, Ice Beam. And again, sets at the same speed that Sneasel does. Of course, I have the Choice Scarf to get me there. I do outspeed the Thundurus Incarnate and everything below, as long as they are not themselves Choice Scarfed. That being said, my last mon, and probably one of my favorite sets, I bring Lucario, a brave-natured Lucario. 0 speed IVs, max attack, quite a bit of defense and special defense investments with the justified ability. Swords Dance, Close Combat, Thunder, and Ice Punch with the Electrium Z. So what the Electrium Z allows me to do is to do major damage to Suicune or Quillfish if I'm not at +2 already, or if I'm at +2 and Quillfish intimidates me. Electrium Z still does a shit ton. Suicune doesn't want to take a +2 close combat anyway, but if it is at a range where it can take it, assuming that it's really, really defensive, I could maybe go for the Electrium Z Thunder Punch instead of a close combat. Whereas when I get my special defense drop on the close combat, then he could potentially knock me out depending on how offensive he is. Ice Punch is there for Decidui and Landers Incarnate. I mean, fucking Therian. I'm glad it's not Incarnate. Glad it is Therian. And when I made a Trick Room team, I thought of a few different mons for my last position. Manaphy, Shaman, Pythagoras even. But I wanted a mon that actually could beat Muck, as it sets up curses and could actually beat me in my own Trick Room like Envy did Steve with Muck. So I bring Lucario with the Justified ability. So I'm immune to Poison Jab, and I get stronger if you hit me with a Dark type attack. And Swords Dance boost me 2 stages, while Curse would only boost Muck by 1 stage, which is I can play catch up a lot quicker that way. Anyways, we'll hop into the battle here. Looking at his team, I predicted him to predict me to lead with a Stealth Rocker, or Victini to U-turn out. He does have Landers and Decidui and Thunders Incarnate of his own, so I don't really expect him to expect me to lead with Zapdos. I'll most likely lead with Nidoqueen probably, or Victini like I said. So I'm actually going to lead with Zapdos, predicting him to lead with Suicune. And I get that right, and I see his nickname is Detox. Now, I don't know if his Suicune has been named Detox all season, or if that's a drug joke to me or something like that, but it was definitely funny. It caught me off guard. I have like drug-related criminal charges, and Detox was just cracking me up. But I don't think it was an insult. If anything, I think it was just there for fun, or that was his actual nickname all season. But regardless, I'm just going to click Volt Switch here and pressure him out of a Protect. I didn't know he had Protect, but as he goes for Protect, we both pressure each other, so we lose 2 PP of whatever move we chose. I'm just going to click Volt Switch again and get a critical hit on the Muck, but he reveals to be Black Sludge right here, and that did a lot. Now he's got to question how much investment I have on my Zapdos, even though I have like just around 100 EVs in special attack. The Wise Glasses makes me put out more damage, so it makes me look like I'm more offensive than I actually am. So that being said, I Volt Switch out into my Nidoqueen here, and since I seen Black Sludge, I know he's not Sugar Berry, and I know he's not Assault Vest, so Earth Power is going to knock this thing out, since I am I'm modest, Sheer Force, max special attack, so Earth Power is definitely going to knock him out. He could switch into Landers, he could switch into Thunders Incarnate, or Suicune, or Decidui. But I know he's going to switch, so I'm just going to set up my Stealth Rocks here. And he does switch out into Decidui, which can defog. That being said, I'm going to hard switch out into Zapdos, and just, if he does defog, I can Volt Switch out again. He actually chooses to go for a U-turn, so now he sees that I do have a little bit of bulk investment as well, where it only does 12 damage, and I don't show leftovers or anything, and I'm just going to Volt Switch again, so he may think I'm like Specs or something, as he gets his rocks up. I Volt Switch out into Nidoqueen, as Volt Switch did about almost half to the Cobalion, so showing some pretty good damage output there. Not quite Specs, but showing that I could be modest or something. Go for the Earth Power, and it does nothing to the incoming Decidui, and I'll hard switch into Sneasel as he goes out into Suicune. After I take the Spirit Shackle, I knock off his item there. Take a little Life Orb Recoil as I get rid of his leftovers. And then I'm going to hard switch into a Rangaroo since I know I can take a Scald. I can set up my Reflect or a Light Screen or throw off a Toxic, but of course he is asleep and he has Muck around, so Toxic's pretty useless right now. I go for a Reflect as he goes into the Decidueye, and he does 25% with a Reflect up. So I know that thing's pretty offensive itself. I'm going to set up a Trick Room here, and now he's got the Muck in, so I got to hard switch into my Lucario, which is, like I said, if I have Trick Room up and he's got Muck around, Lucario's my answer, as I can Swords Dance up and catch up to the curses faster than any of my other mons would have a chance. Here I'm going to click Electrium Z Thunder Punch, which is the Gigavolt Havoc, because if I close combat, then I get special attack or special defense and defense drops, whereas any other move I won't, and I will put him in range of the following close combat. So I'm going to go for the Gigavolt Havoc here as he switches into Decidueye, and at +2 even resisted hit, and this being a Z move, it's going to do, it's like a base 140 move or something like that. Takes out the Decidueye. He goes into the Cobalion here, and he's got a couple plays he can make here. As during the match, I was like, okay, he's going to go into this thing, and then he's going to double into Landers on my close combat. But then I was like, well, that's so obvious that I'm just going to click Ice Punch, and he's going to stay in and click close combat. And the Ice Punch is at +2, still only does like a maximum of 25% to Cobalion. So I was like, okay, well, close combat knocks this thing out. It knocks Thundurus out. It knocks Muck out. It knocks Suicune out. And it does over half the Landers even after the Intimidate. So Intimidate's still pretty much a no drawback play. Now I know if I click Ice Punch here and get rid of the Landers, that would be amazing. But it's too big of a risk. I'm just going to click close combat. So he does go out to the Landers, takes Stealth Rock damage, and close combat does 54%. Now, if only there was an item to lengthen Trick Room, I'd be in a good position here. But there's not. I'm going to hard switch into Zapdos, take Rocks damage as he reveals Z Fly, which is a Supersonic Sky Strike, and does almost 60%. And I'm going to click Defog here. Really debated between clicking Hidden Power Ice and Defog, but I ultimately decided for Defog to get rid of the rocks because I still had Sneasel and Victini around. And I guess he can. Cobalion outspeeds everything on my team except for Sneasel and Nidoqueen, so he can get rocks back up at any time almost. So maybe my play was to click Hidden Power Ice and just go ahead and knock him out. But I did Defog, and he is going to click Stone Edge here, but he's going to miss. This is important in the sense that I don't have a sack later, and I basically got a free Defog off. I did in the chat over here, you can see, I chatted with him for a second and told him that I'd rather Defog again than continue going like this since I did get a crit earlier in the match. Now I know Muck has recovered all of its damage from the crit as if it never got crit now. But he says that it's part of the game. We don't really control it. It's not our fault. And I say it is a shitty game that we love. So basically he insists that I don't Defog again. And this gives me a chance to where my Zapdos should be dead. He has a Landorus in, and like it should have killed me, but it didn't. So now I'm in a position where I can predict him to switch out and try to make another play, because if I lose my Zapdos, it's okay because it should have been gone already. So I'm just going to click Volt Switch on the Landorus as he switches out to the Muck. It takes 23% from the Volt Switch, and I'm going to be able to bring in my Nidoqueen again. This brings me back to my earlier play where I did predict this thing to switch out, and I clicked Stealth Rock. So I'm definitely going to predict him to stay in this turn, and I'm not going to click Stealth Rock this turn. I'm going to click Earth Power as he goes into Suicune. So I could have got my rocks back up, but I didn't. Unfortunate. but it is what it is. It will come into play later in the match, but it was the risk that I wanted to take. I switch into a Rangaroo on the Sleep Talk Scald, and I get burnt, but it's not that big of a deal. I guess it is in the sense that I'm losing more HP than I should, but I'm still going to be able to get all my. I'm still going to be able to set up my Reflect, and then get up a Trick Room here as he switches into Landers Therian. And now I can also go for a Light Screen for a last ditch effort of protecting me on the physical and special side. He doubles out into Landers again as I'm going to actually go into my Lucario. Now here, I haven't revealed Ice Punch yet, but it's probably likely that I do have it. So I'm going to predict him to switch out as I'm going to set up a Swords Dance as he goes into Suicune. And it's likely that he predicted me to go for the Ice Punch there. Now I can click Close Combat or Thunder Punch here as he goes into his Thunders. I do click Close Combat, and it does almost 90%. I do lose Trick Room and the Reflect, but I have the Light Screen up and quite a bit of special defense investment, so even after the Spadef drop, I don't die to the Psychic, and I'm going to be able to knock the Thunders Incarnate out. And now I'm going to hard switch into my Victini. Now I contemplated this play for a very long time. Gypsy posted test in the chat. I could have clicked Close Combat there. But I really wanted Lucario around because I'm still planning on using Trick Room, and I need something to counter the muck under the Trick Room. So I definitely wanted my Lucario around, and I wanted to get Victini in before Rocks got up. But since Rocks got up at all, I do have 2 mons that die upon switch in, Rangaroo and Zapdos. So I have 2 sacks that are basically just there to be sacks. And then I have a mon that will come in on Rocks, attack 1 time and die. Or come in on Rocks, take an attack and die. And Sneasel. So I'm going to predict him to save his Cobalion here for later in the match. And go out to his Muck or his Suicune here. Now if he goes to a Suicune on my Will-O-Wisp and he's asleep, that's fine, because I'm fine to take a Scald whenever he wants to activate my weakness policy, as I can and will live the Scald, break my weakness policy as I set up a Trick Room, and then proceed to outspeed under Trick Room and knock him out with a +2 Thunderbolt. That being said, if he goes into Muck, I will burn it, proceed to take the knockoff or whatever he wants to go for as I set up a Trick Room, or just go for the Flamethrower, depending on depending on how much his knockoff does. That would incline me to either click Trick Room or not, or just go for the Flamethrower or not. So I'm going to click Will-O-Wisp here, and he's actually going to stay in and go for the Stone Edge. He's got a Life Orb Stone Edge here. And it does activate my weakness policy. I do burn him here, but it's not quite enough, as Stone Edge is a 2-hit KO. But it did force him to go for Stone Edge again, so I guess I'm okay with that. Now that I've seen Stone Edge, he's probably got Close Combat and Iron Head along with Stealth Rock, so I know he can't really touch my Nidoqueen, so I'm okay with revealing that I'm Scarf. Go in here and knock it out with the Earth Power. Ice Beam was a roll and gave Suicune a free switch in, so I'd rather just go for the Earth Power and reveal that I'm Scarf, let Landers come in and do whatever it wants, as I have 2 sacks, one being Zapdos, as he goes for the Sub, which is very interesting. Sub, Z-Fly, Stone Edge, and his last move ends up being go for the Ice Shard there to break his Sub. Didn't want to miss with Icicle Crash. He shows his last move to be Earthquake, so I can bring in Nidoqueen here. And I contemplated this play here for a minute. Like, I didn't know if he would stay in or not, so I wasn't I really contemplated going for the Earth Power as well as Stealth Rock. But if he stayed in, I just lost right there. Because I can't set up Trick Room again. And this is the only mod I have to outspeed his entire team. So I definitely needed to play safe there and just click Sludge Wave as he brings in Muck, which takes nothing. And now I'm going to hard switch into Lucario once again, as a knockoff does not kill even after a curse or even after 2 curses. So my play here is to Swords Dance up alongside of him as he goes for another curse. Now here I'm going to click Ice Punch. And this is actually a misplay a little bit, because I should click Thunder Punch so I don't reveal that I don't have the Ice Punch is my last move. Because if I reveal Ice Punch is my last move, then he will know that I do not have Bullet Punch or Extreme Speed. So I would be outsped by his Landers whenever it wants to come in. But I am going to click Ice Punch here and try to weaken him a little bit before I click Close Combat. And he actually goes for the knockoff and gives me the Justified boost. So now I'm at basically +3 and can click Close Combat there. Knock out the Muck. And now I'm feeling like I can sweep with Sludge Wave. So he brings in Landers. And here I'm going to make sort of a misplay and sack off my Oranguru, when I should have just stayed in and clicked Close Combat again, and then went into Nidoqueen. But I wanted to not lose Lucario in this match. It's just put in so much work. So I'm going to switch into Oranguru here as he doubles into Suicune. After he intimidated me, he doubles into Suicune, and then he goes for the Protect, knowing he would wake up as I go for the Sludge Wave. He's PP stalling me here as I go for another Sludge Wave, and he knew he couldn't knock me out with Scald because Nidoqueen's natural bulk. And he goes for the rest to see if he can get Sleep Talk Scalds. He's got a 33% chance to get Scald on the first turn of Sleep Talk. Go for Sludge Wave again, and he's got a 33% chance again to get Scald, but he does not get Scald on either turns here. And he wakes up here on the 3rd turn, as always, goes for the Protect, and I've lost 1, 2, 3, 4 times 2, 8 times 9, maybe 9 or 10 Sludge Waves. At this point, maybe 11. And now he can bring in Suicune again. And basically he has to PP stall me. And if he gets like a double or triple Protect, he may get it off here, but he's not going to get it. And that's going to be game with Nidoqueen, cleaning up the end game there for us, winning a tight game against the undefeated Sydney Sharpedos, coached by Gypsy King. Really fun game, really good game too, in my opinion. I brought some very unorthodox sets, and it ends up working out for me. Nidoqueen is just beautiful. Victini not putting in the work that I wanted it to, but Lucario most certainly did. So yeah, that's going to be game, and good game to Gypsy. Like I said, we will move on to 7-3. He moves on to 9-1, and our next opponent will be the Montreal Infernos, coached by Blue Victini, who has another threatening squad, and this is another threatening coach. That being said, I'm going to get on out of here. I'll see you guys next time. Leave a like if you enjoyed, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.